I will give you actually a very short presentation about news of Evalglare, which is good news. There are not really big things in terms of bugs or something like this, but still there are some things that might be useful to be announced, especially some default settings, because results will be different afterwards. So there is a new version that will be checked in the next days that will be available soon. So I will talk about bug fixes and changes since the last time I had a presentation about Evalglare, since the 2.0 version. And we'll talk a little bit about the outlook of what we will do probably in the upcoming year. So one of the changes is actually back to something that was implemented for, is how the background luminance is calculated, which is important for calculation of UGR, UGP, and so on, but not for DGP, because DGP uses vertical luminance as an adaptation level, so it doesn't matter for that. And the method is basically, it's using the indirect illuminance divided by pi, which means, yeah, the illuminance except the one induced by the glare source, and this is used. Before it was implemented to have the mathematical average, which the core difference is basically only this one here considers the cosine of each pixels, whereas the mathematical one does not. So, but to be backwards compatible, I've included an option now to change between these modes. So you can use, the default is now the CIE method as described before. You can go back to the old version with the option 1, mathematical average, or you can even use vertical illuminance divided by pi if you want to, then it's the option 2. Okay, that's about this. Then about glare source detection. This was not yet officially announced, but that's why I'm doing this here. So the default multiplier when using the task method is now 5, simply to be consistent with publications, but the manual setting, of course, is still the same as before, so it can be done. And the default glare source detection method, if you don't specify any parameter, has changed to an absolute threshold method of 2000 candela per square meter, according to the publication from Clotilde a while ago. This has been implemented already a while ago and is already in the last versions. Regarding glare source position calculation, there was a small bug fix in there. So it is now, oh, sorry, the position index below the line of sight. Wait, I need to move this window here. It's okay. Yeah, sorry. Below the line of sight is corrected. There was a little bug fix caused by many different small things. So this is now corrected in the new version as well. Wait, it was, sorry. Yeah, right. As well as the center of the glare source calculation. There was also a little bug fix because it should have been always weighted by luminance multiplied by a solid angle, but actually it was only weighted by solid angle before, which means simply geometrically, and now it's the energy weighted, which was the plan actually from the beginning. So that's this. On the output side, if you do a zone calculation or masking option, it delivers also values. Sorry, is there a question? I had some sound. No. I simply go ahead. I hope that everyone can hear me because I don't see anything.
No, there's no question.
Okay. For the output, so we have for the zone and the masking area, the contribution of each zone or masking area to the vertical illuminance is also printed. So basically you can see how much is the contribution of your zone or the masking area to the total illuminance. And also the number of pixels is there. Regarding metrics, there were also some slight bug fixes for the VCP calculation. Regarding arrow function was a mistake in there, and also for PGSV and saturated PGSV, there was also a little bug fix in there. And there's also the revised UGP equation installed. Let's say there was like 1 or 2 years after the original publication was the second publication on the UGP, and this equation was never implemented in Evalglare, and this is now implemented. The old one is still there, so I labeled it as UGP2. So the UGP2 is the new version. And the biggest update in terms of default setting is that we turned off now the low light correction. Default wise, it's off. And this is simply because it caused big errors or completely wrong result when applied to scenes where the room is quite dark and you can see the sun behind an electrochromic glazing. It's simply this function of the low light correction simply pulled down the DGP too much, and the data that we had originally for this low light correction was not based on this kind of situation. And so that means for now we decided to turn this off, but there is an option to turn it on. I've implemented let's say a way to add later on also other correction functions with a -C, and then in that case it's low light plus means low light correction on, or -CL- would turn it off. So it can be turned on manually also with this. So for now, this is the only correction function, but it enables in future to add more if it's needed. So these are the main changes that are in Evalglare for the current version. What we are currently working on is basically, actually, this should have been done much before. The core question is, what is a glare source? And this is actually not that easy to answer in terms of if you have an image and have to detect what is a glare source and not. And it becomes especially relevant when you have a gradient and not a sharp border between something that is bright and the darker background. If you have a gradient, then it's a question, where do you cut? And this determines then your glare source. And since glare is proportional to luminance squared multiplied by omega, but energy is luminance multiplied by omega, you get always different results if you increase your area and might keep the energy constant. So that's the background. So we will work, we start conducting some experiments to get a bit closer to this. When does a bright area become a glare source, basically? So with a goal to have better input for glare equations. So that's one thing. And then of course, some of you know that we work on in the past years a lot on influence parameters on glare, and Snea will later on also present something about this. So we will include this also in an update in DGP when we have solved the other topic, also with the glare source, of course, to expand the reliability, especially in the lower and the higher range of DGP, and also to consider spectral impact that what SNEA is presenting. Okay, that's it in terms of update on Evalglare. And another reason why Andy and Greg invited me is already to announce something about Radiance workshop next year. So the workshop just started there, and we talk already about the next one. So there is the idea that we have it in Lausanne. And this is actually a picture I took from the train when coming from Germany to Switzerland from Lake Geneva. But if you think this might be a fake picture and it's very far away, it's if you're on campus, you have the same thing. So it's really nice there. So I can really try to make some advertisement. So the place is, I guess, as nice as the place where you are now. So we will invite you to come there next year. And there will be also a workshop in conjunction. So either the day before or the day after, we will have a high dynamic range imaging workshop, which is part of a metrology project in Europe, where we play a small role in there. And yeah, I'm pretty sure there is a good overlap between the Radiance community and there. If you look at the presentations, this in the workshop, this is still a hot topic. So we will have that together. But we have to see when we do this. Andy mentioned that at the beginning. We have an issue with other conflicting events next year. So there is the CIE midterm meeting, which is beginning of July. Then we have in between the vacation time. Then we have the IBIPSA conference in Australia. And then we have the CISPAT conference, which actually our lab is also organizing in Lausanne, which is the week after. And we have the semester start directly after, which makes it difficult to have rooms. I don't want to bother you with this, but these are things we have to discuss and see how we manage that. So the time slot is not yet clear to me when to do this. Maybe the week before IBIPSA, but this is already still in vacation time. So yeah.